I'm gonna start this story 12 years ago, where there was this one competitive thing where the best in the world were all from Japan for a while, except for me. And that was me at the top. And it's pretty crazy because the before I got the best in the world, it was all Japan, and it was like it didn't feel like I could get there because it was so hard to improve once you got to a certain point that it just felt like I'll never get there. But eventually it happened, and then later on, other people from other countries eventually got there too, I think. And now I, uh, I haven't really kept up with it, but only a little bit. But anyway, that was 12 years ago, and a different game. But in this game, the best in the world are pretty much all from Japan. There's some good people from other countries, like I think Korea's pretty strong. There's a lot of pretty good French players, but I think the best in the world are all from Japan in this game too. So the actual Puyo story starts with Evo 2018, where that was the first year that Puyo alone was at Evo, and then here's me against Live. Live's a pro from Japan. So this one,
This is game 11. Oh my gosh. What?
so in this match, I don't feel like I had much of a chance of winning, even though I got 2 points. I kind of feel like I was kind of lucky to get 2 points even, and um, part of the reason is because I didn't practice Puyo that much going into this tournament, and he's also just really good, and so that was that tournament. Eventually, I also lost to someone else from Japan, a girl named Tema, and then um, I was out in the finals of that tournament. Akler from Taiwan almost beat Live from the loser's side,
What's on this match? Both shaking, both nodding their head.
and if he won, it would be a grand finals reset, so they'd play another first to 10. But
Cannot afford any mistakes.
what ended up happening was,
Oh, he's countering.
so Aklev had a really big chain going. Live had to build in a hurry, and if he could do it, he would win. But it was tough.
Oh, he's just going for that. Okay.
But
3, 4,
this is where I feel like Live really showed his strength, and,
there we go. 9. Oh my gosh, it's 10
and he just barely won, or just barely got his chain off in time and got the win.
Red, purple. Oh, he's just going insane. It's over. Live takes it back. Winner.
So that was 2018. The next year, Priyo was at Evo again, and then I played against Live again. And this year, I actually practiced Priyo really hard, and
All right, we are off here.
so I spent a lot of time just practicing the game, trying to get better and stuff. So this year, I was hoping to actually have play pretty well. Like the 2018 tournament, I feel like I didn't play very well at all. But this year, I wasn't expecting to win or anything, but I was hoping I could give myself a chance, and if I got really lucky, then maybe I'd win, and hopefully I'd be able to win a couple of points just through playing well, stuff like that. So I was gonna play a really aggressive strategy, but also read based, where I try to pay attention to what they're doing and what they can counter and what they can't. So I was trying to set up big attack possibilities, like a 2 double right here, or a 3 chain, 4 chain, things like that. And I could see he had like the chance for a 3, 4, 5 chain pretty easily, so he would be able to counter whatever I sent. So I went with a smaller attack, and that actually worked out really well. And then I followed up really fast because it looked like he might be able to dig. And then after I followed up, I like saw where the garbage fell, and I was like, "There's nothing there." It's like he doesn't have it. He doesn't have a way to counter, so then I just went bigger. Then, luckily for me, it was like the perfect size. I'm not sure how well I knew that was the perfect counter, or if I just got lucky. I actually don't remember that part, but I might have known.
This is for top 4, and
So it's like, I already feel like I'm doing better than last year, and that felt like a really solid play.
Alright, so we got a bit of a divergence.
So like I said, my mindset was I just wanted to attack a lot and stuff, play pretty aggressively, and then this one I remember I didn't notice what he was doing, and I was just building, and I was like, I should be safe against anything because I have this 4 chain, and I can easily connect my main chain. I'm running out of room to extend, so that's a problem, but... And then like all of a sudden, it's like this, and it's like, well, good thing I have a 4 chain, but it wasn't enough. You can see me laughing. But I was imagining, he was like, oh, you want to attack me? And then he's like, I'll show you how to attack.
Oh, this is a big hellfire! Power 3 chain. DDR Dad's carrying with a 4 chain, but it's not going to be enough to counter it.
It's like, oh, that's how it's going to be.
Order 1-1.
So, the immediate next match, I gotta remember this.
DDR Dan going for something. Right side GTR instead.
I would consider this my like classic attack, one of two, where you leave this spot open and you can build on the transition while like building up a huge attack, and the opponent can't just send their main chain, because if you see that, you can just set off a bigger chain that's also really powerful and fast, so you just win if they do that. So it's tough for them to like play. So I was kind of watching, and it's like, and I wasn't sure, but it was like, just looks like too good of an attack. So I was like, I can't not send it. and he just like blocked off the starter. Or he didn't block off, but the greens would cut because the extra green. So I got my revenge on his revenge. It's like, oh, yeah, you think you can show me how to attack, but I'll just counter attack. I'll keep on attacking. Then it's like, man, I'm like, I was winning. I got the first to 1, first to 2. It's like, oh, there's a chance. And then my other classic attack, I'd say, is this one where you cleared the color on top of the GTR with the L at the same time for a 2 double. And I could do it here with the reds, I guess.
Oh, that is a nice 1 chain thorn.
Oh, unfortunately that didn't get covered.
But the yellows are wide open to fire off his full chain here. Oh, he can't fire off the full chain though because the green's cut.
Yeah, I didn't get through my form fast enough. Yeah. There's nothing.
Dan has too much garbage to dig through. He can't get there. Leve striking back, even 2-2.
So again, I wasn't really expecting to win, but yeah. Oh, this one. I was like, I thought there's an all clear,
Leave it. Part of
but
the trap.
so I like hesitated trying to figure out how to get an all clear. I see it now. To put the red and the green and then start with the purple and put the red on top, and that would have worked. I didn't see it at the time.
Ooh.
And then
That's a bit of a dirty GTR.
already,
Green,
yeah,
get that off. There it is.
my build was kind of like tough to work with.
He's gonna just fire off.
I saw that coming, so I didn't send the 2 chain. Like,
He needs greens.
I was setting up this 2 chain, but
There it
I
is.
saw him like move first, so I
Full chain.
tried to
All right,
extend.
He's gonna just fire off.
I think I could have done a better
Yeah,
job
that's
there.
a full chain right there. DDR Dan, he needs to build. He needs
I
to build.
like didn't know how to do it though.
Power 5?
And
Power 5, 9 up. That's it. Leve takes
Mhm.
the lead. 3-2. All right. Weird builds coming in from both sides.
oh,
DDR Dan just going for the notch. Oh, DDR Dan gets the all clear. Leve, can he fire off chain big enough? No, he doesn't.
this all depends on if he gets 2 greens and I knew it. And I thought maybe the safest option is to extend, but I wasn't here to play safe. No, but I felt like I had to take my like if I had a chance to win, I had to take it, and even if it wasn't like I didn't think I was gonna win if it went long, so all I had to do was clear the all clear and have him not draw 2 greens, which was a reasonable chance, but he drew 2 greens.
Oh my god, DDR Dan, he needs to build fast enough.
This was actually a really good setup here,
It's not enough. No
but
time to
it
count
wasn't
on
gonna
7.
complete
The
fast
full
enough.
chain.
I was like, I still felt like I was playing alright though, and doing pretty well, even though I was losing now.
Oof. That was an intense last round here. All right, DDR Dan's building up his tail. There it is. His tail's online here. Meanwhile, Leve's got a full 9 chain going on here. Oh, it's bigger than 9 chain. The counter chain assist just can't read it. It's too big.
There's some things I think I've gotten better at nowadays, but
This is gonna be a 13.
yeah, this one,
DDR Dan, he needs to build.
I was like, oh, this is so hard to get all the colors in, but
He needs to build fast.
and I saw his chain was really big, but I was like, it's like,
Oh, no, DDR Dan's buried. Meanwhile,
so, kind of just, I was like, didn't see how I could extend anymore at all. But, and I was pretty sure I didn't have enough, but I kind of wanted to be like, I know how to set this chain off, kind of show that
12 chain, 13
I like knew how to connect it,
Oh, power 12 chain coming in for
because it was a
Leve.
really tough
This
form,
is nowhere near enough.
and I did connect
That's
it.
a really good dig by DDR Dan, but the 11 chain's not good enough. Power
But
13
yeah,
is gonna
it
take
wasn't
all
enough.
day. Ooh, all the momentum swinging straight back to Leve. 5-3.
2 to 5 doesn't feel good, but
All right, aqua colors coming in everywhere. All right, he's got an elevated wide GTR here.
I was looking for a 2 double here. So this one, I actually faked out myself and Live.
Really messed
This was like my favorite point of the set. So I was like trying to set up a 2 double and trying to watch to see when it was a good time to send it. And it's like watching, and I was, right when he put that down, I was like, this is the time. It's gotta be now. So then I was like, like, I remember that too. I was like really trying to watch, and then I was like, I didn't see it because like he could set off the green and get a pretty big chain. So I was like, it's still not the time. But then I saw him like putting the piece down, so you'll see me like moving the piece over. I was like, oh wait, no, and then I like spun it over. I was like, oh. It's like, oh, 2 chain now, and then I like sent it, and then he actually drew just what he needed to make a 3-chain counter, but
Good.
it was actually a 4-chain, and I didn't even know myself.
Blue and green.
And it
Blue, he needs the green on the
was
left row.
just fast enough to beat, like,
Oh,
stop him
frame
from doing
trap.
anything
DDR Dan coming
afterwards.
straight back.
I was like,
5-3.
oh man.
DDR
It's
Dan
like, it
coming
was
back to
so
life here.
perfect.
Oh, he's got an all-clear follow-up on top of that. There is no chance.
I just like how you can tell I was watching because I, like, was putting the piece down and then I spun it back over to the other side. It's like, oh.
Really, really good. He needs a blue and a green. He got the blue, but he needs the green on the left row. Oh, the frame trap. DDR Dan coming straight back.
So, like I said, that was my favorite point from the match.
So with all clear start, they're going to be building on the right side here. Try to build it tall so that
Even today, I don't feel like I'm good at all clear starts, but I think everyone says that.
They're going to be able to dig through their chain here. DDR Dan's got a nice 4-chain going downward. He's extending it to the left here. Meanwhile, Live, he's been on the left side instead. He's firing off his 4-chain.
And I think I could have won here. I think I should have won here. I was going for the yellow starter, and I guess I needed it, but
he's going to counter it here. It's going to be good enough. He got the green there. It's going to dig down.
I should have done the tell better too.
Has 8-chain already built up.
And this part, like, when they do this, I feel like that's really showing off their skill. Like, making a 9-chain in that time with that that amount of efficiency. That amount. See, like, maybe I had a chance to make a 9-chain, but I didn't do it.
Green was gonna cut in.
So this is now match point.
Needs to win 4 in a row and move on top to a winners finals here. All right, DDR Dan going tradition with the bread and butter GTR.
There's the attack.
Going for a L-shape build here.
But I decided not to do it.
With the bread and butter GTR. Meanwhile,
because it kind of looked like he could make something.
He's going for a
it's also hard to make this decision when you're just playing. And with the colors he was getting, he would have been able to counter too.
Ooh, bit of an awkward slump here for DDR Dan, but he's going to find a way to get through there.
So I decided not to attack just then. Then I sent a 3-chain into the 2-chain. So this was a chance. There's a 2-chain straight into chain. Oh yeah, I remember this one too. Because I saw, like, it was going to connect even farther, and it's like so far behind in pieces already. I was like, the only way I can win is probably if I can send fast enough that he gets stuck in his chain and then he can't start his main chain. So I started already before he even set off the chain. Like, that's, again, I think that's how, like, I was like paying attention to what he was gonna do, because, like, I could see it was gonna connect longer than just a 2-chain. So it was like setting it off well in advance before he even set it off. And I think this might have been my best chance to win, because if he couldn't draw blue fast enough, or red, I guess since he has a 2-color starter, it actually makes it pretty tough to win. But if he didn't draw the color, then I could win, and I set it off so fast that he might not get it, because he got double yellows first, but he ended up getting it. And it was actually pretty close in power too, so he actually needed the, like, I don't think the red starter would have been enough. It might have been because the blues would go into the tail, but it was actually closer than I thought. So I actually had a pretty good chance there, and I was really happy with my decision making, even though I didn't win.
Not gonna cover it. Power 4-chain's not gonna be enough. There's one rock. He's still alive. There's still life, but oh, Hellfire coming in. He's trying to steal it off.
Yeah, and then I was lost. But all in all, I was pretty happy with how I played that match, even though I lost. I was like, I think I played it reasonably well. So, flash forwards to, this isn't 3 hours ago, but just this weekend, Live was doing an official stream with Sega where anyone could just randomly challenge him if they could join his room, and then you play a first to five, and it's just have fun trying to beat the pro. And he was on, he was talking like the title is trying that he's aiming to not lose any matches at all, and he was 10-0, and um, I I saw a tweet about this whole challenge thing, the Sega official challenge thing earlier, but then I kind of forgot about it. But then when this happened, I happened to be up at the time, and I follow Live, so I saw he was streaming, and I was like, oh, he's streaming the official challenge, and then I was like, maybe I should try to join. So I was like trying to join. I think I started when he had like 4 or 5 wins. I was trying to join, and you have to mash. Well, there's kind of like a stream delay, so um, there's like you had to press refresh well before the match ended, so you couldn't really time it. So I just like mash refresh when I saw the match might be ending soon, and then you see the room pop up, and the really hard part was then you have to like stop mashing refresh to join the room. So there's like techniques required and skill required to like join the room because you have to stop mashing refresh and then move to the room as fast as you can and press X on it. And the other times I would like press it and then the room would pop up, but I'd press refresh again and then I'd be too slow to join. I was like, man, it's so hard. But then this time, I was actually like hanging out in the chat a little bit, just watching, and then um, someone was asking like if anyone, they're wondering if there are any people trying to join from outside Japan besides from Korea and Taiwan, because that Akliv person that played Live in the finals in 2018 was trying to join and he couldn't get in. But they're like, is there anyone from, I wonder if there's anyone from outside of Japan who's trying to join besides Korea and Taiwan. And then I said, I'm from America. And then like, hey, it's that guy. And then right after I, so that, right after I said it, then I was like pressing refresh, and then I saw the room and I didn't press refresh again, and I clicked on the room and I was like, is that good enough? And then it's like, hey, I got it. And then it was right after I said like, oh, I'm from America. and then and then it's like, oh. So now he's talking about 2 years ago when we played in this match. We also played in this match. So, going in, I wasn't really expecting to win either, but I was hoping to win 2. I was like, if I win 2, I guess that's probably alright for me. Like, if I won less than 2, it'd feel like I got blown out and maybe didn't play well. And if I won more than that, I probably did pretty well, you know? Like, that's what I was thinking going in. So, again, the strategy was pretty much play heavy aggression, but heavy read based, I'd say. So, kind of trying to predict what's going to happen, what they can and can't do, and things like that. So, I was also trying to make myself hard to read. So, like, there's a 2 chain, maybe a 2 double, maybe a 3 chain, maybe a 4 chain with the greens. So I was trying to leave open a lot of options, make myself hard to read, and read what they were doing, what he was doing at the same time. So now it looks like a 3 chain, but now it looks like a 2 chain with the yellows. And so I was like looking to see if it looked good to send. Looks like a 2-chain with the yellows, but I can extend to 3-4 with the red. I can also go to the right, maybe. So it's tough. And he sees it because he's talking about. It's like, oh, there's lava. So then I settled on a 4-chain. Looked like he might send a 2-chain or the 4-chain himself, maybe. So I was trying to like get him to jump on a 2-chain, maybe, or something like that, or get the wrong read. And I actually got a big advantage because he, I think the single might have been a misdrop, but now another thing to talk about is situations like this, especially against really strong players. You think you have a good advantage, but a lot of times they're just so good at digging and they're so fast that it's hard to close it out sometimes. And even if you're playing well, you might still lose. So it's an area I've been trying to improve a lot on, where trying to not, like, what you really have to do is you have to see what they're sending and you have to counter it again and you have to read it well or you're gonna lose anyway. So I've been trying to improve it and I did a lot better here in this match too. Like here has a 2-chain, can get a 3-chain with a red yellow, and potentially a 4-chain with a green, and then a red yellow starter and some bigger digs if he puts down a lot more pieces. So that's the read. Now he's sending a 2-chain, and this one I didn't want to send a smaller 2-chain, and I knew it was just a 2-chain and I could take it. And now he doesn't really have anything, so now I want to send something, but I didn't have anything to send. Here I should probably send a 3-chain though, but that's probably a mistake. So now you can see something coming, like he's got chances for a 2, 3, 4-chain, 5-chain, 6, and main chain. It's all there. So it's a really tough situation to play. But that actually helps a lot. So now he only has a 2 or 3-chain, and if he puts down more pieces, he can extend. So I was like, I saw the opportunity. So I knew I had to go a little bit bigger. I couldn't do just like a 2 double. But he, like, again, I was really trying to read. And so this one, like, I'm pretty happy with my decision making here because in the past I'd not pay attention and I'd just like send a 2 double as fast as I can. And I'd lose because he can easily make a 4-chain here and maybe go bigger. This time I saw it and I sent a 3 double to challenge him. And even though he got a good draw to make a 4-chain, it was still really even. And if I had a faster follow-up, I would have won because I could have interrupted him. That didn't happen though. So here I'm looking, and this time it was harder to read. And he actually had a 3 double. Yeah. And so it looked like I had a pretty big advantage at the start, where I connected with a bigger 4-chain. So from this point I did have an advantage, but like I said, it's tough to close out these. And I played it pretty well, but I had some decisions that I don't think were very good. Like that one was kind of a mistake maybe. But this is pretty good, and he got lucky to make a 4-chain. It was just this final decision was a bad decision. It was hard for me to read this much. And so I lost the first point. At the time I kind of felt like I should have had it. Like in some ways I felt like I threw it away, but those situations are hard to play. So here I was going for one of my two classic attacks, the cutting the piece here in the GTR shape for a 2 double. So I was trying to set up. Sometimes I put the purple here too, and then it makes it bigger and faster. But I was also, again, paying attention, and it's like pretty easy for him to get a blue and start his main chain. So it's not exactly a good time for the attack. So I just build up normally and try to set up another attack and look for another opportunity. And here's a 3 chain if I get a red purple. Here's a 2 chain if I got blues. It looks like he has a lot of counter options, and he does like 2 chain, 3 chain with reds, make a big 3 chain with an extra purple, a 4 chain with red blue, and then a main chain with another red. So he's pretty flexible here, and you don't want to go too big and just get countered. So here's a 4 chain on my side, and I'm looking to send it, but with just a purple blue, he's got a really big 4 chain himself, and it would counter completely. So I can't send a 4 chain. Or I could and just hope he gets really unlucky or something, but that's not a good strategy. Here he's got a big single, no, and he does send it. So I was trying to go up to like a 5 chain because I could see that 4 chain potential. It was a little bit slow, but here's a 3 chain, and he's committing to a 3 double. So with the reds, I can counter with a 5 chain. So again, I was trying to be like hard to read, a lot of options, and this might have thrown him off because it looks like I'll clear the purples to send a 3 chain, but so he's sending a 3 double to counter that, but instead if I clear the reds, it's a 5 chain and it's a counter to his attack. So I'm trying to just put him under a lot of pressure to make the right decision. This one, yeah. I was like, if he started his main chain, I kind of felt like he might win. I don't know if I can extend well enough still. I've gotten better, but I still don't know if I'm good enough. But he went pretty greedy, I'd say. Tried to get the yellows in, and that was a pretty big risk. And when I saw it on my screen, it looked like he was getting it, and I was like, oh man, he's gonna get it. But he didn't get it. Oh, one more thing is, there's this thing called a quick attack, where when the final group disappears, there's no puyos left falling. Like, for example, when his final group disappears, the purples are left falling. So if you don't have that, then it's a quick. And I didn't realize at the time, but I guess that's why I won here, because it's a quick. So that means like it sends the garbage really quickly, and a lot of times the other person loses out on drawing a piece. And here, that was critical, because he didn't draw the final yellow, because mine was a quick, and then I won. It's like, alright, there's one win. So I wasn't getting blown out. I was worried that was a possibility. So here I'm just building my form. Nothing crazy yet. I don't have to go all in every time. But I think the single was a misdrop, but it's not terrible. Here, he's got his main chain easily accessible, but besides that, he doesn't have much there. So I decided to follow up again, see what happens. Even though I'm losing out on resources, it's not too bad. So I don't have much here besides another big single, and I don't want to lose any more resources at this point, because then I'll be at such a big disadvantage. I mean, I'm already kind of disadvantaged because I used up a lot of puyo with 1 chains that didn't do that much. Yeah. So here's a 2 chain, but that's not that strong, and it would again be using resources. in a situation where unless it like wins or leads directly to a win, you'll be putting yourself at even more of a disadvantage. So I have to do something else for now. Use a 2-chain. That one, I think that was a misdrop too. But it was actually, um, I'm not entirely sure, but I think it was a misdrop. But it's not a terrible play either because it was actually pretty well timed. And it forces him to send this one chain that he doesn't want to send because there's a lot of risk if the garbage falls in the wrong spots. He might just fill up, or not immediately, but it'll be too hard to start anything, and a follow-up attack might do it. So he clears the one chain, but now his form becomes kind of bad. He either has to send his main chain, or like make a small 2-3 chain. He would have to get lucky with the colors a little bit to get a 3 or bigger chain. So it's tough for him to like do much here. And right at this time, I'm setting up a 2 double or a 3 chain, and it's actually a 4 chain with the green, because like I was saying, he has the chance to make a 3 chain with the right colors, but it's pretty hard for him to get to 4. So with the yellow green, I'm making a 4 chain, and I kind of saw that while I was playing. I was like, it's pretty hard to get to 4 because he can get 3 pretty easily with either the yellow or like he's getting double greens and a blue, so that's another way to get a 4 chain. He's instead sending it as a 3 chain though. But again, my read was pretty spot on there, and then this got covered just enough, so I was like, I'm gonna go for it now. And it was just right. And now I have the lead, and I already have my 2 wins. I was like, alright. So, again, this is my classic attack 102, where you clear the color on top of the GTR. This time I was setting it up, and like the only way I could do it is if I get a red and a yellow exactly, but I can see it coming, and I also just wanted to have the opportunity there to like throw out a surprise attack or just potentially have an opportunity to punish something unsafe. Here it came really quickly, and I could see like he's not going to be ready with anything for a while. So I was like, I'm going with this right now. And yeah. So, and these situations are hard. you think you're you think it's an easy win from here, but it's not. But so I showed off my improvement here. Didn't just go with a random like 2 chain and let him dig. So I built up some. Then I read what he was sending. It's like that's a 3 chain. I'm good here. It's like I'm good with exactly 4, because if I send a 4 chain into a 4 chain, it's almost like just a loss because he clears so much garbage and he digs down and I have nothing left and I just lose pretty much. And so I had to know it's a 3 chain and not a 4 chain, and like it was like really important to know that. I also had I was looking at multiple options to start the chain. So there's either the red starter and you put a blue, there's the red starter and you put a yellow one off the bottom, or I can like do a red yellow on top of the purples and start with the purple. I was keeping open a lot of options, and I was able to see one that worked. Because the more options you keep open, the harder it is to keep track of all of them and like continue to play quickly. So again, he's saying like, "Oh, what? It's a 4 chain," and yes, I knew what he was sending. But it's like he's almost digging, but I'm sending like just enough to where he can't quite dig. And here he's got a 3 chain. And again, I knew it, like I was reading really well because I was like, you can't send a 3-chain into a 3-chain here because you're throwing away the match almost. Here, it's not guaranteed loss level because he's got enough garbage that um, you don't necessarily immediately lose because he'll have nothing to follow up with really, or not that much. But if you send a 3-chain into the 3-chain, it's not what it's throwing away the advantage. And I knew it, so I was like, I gotta go bigger than that. I gotta go to a 4-chain. So the purple's made it a 4-chain, and I just need a red. I was like, I just need a red. I just need a red. It's like, oh my gosh. But I drew it. And if he had a better form right here, I would have lost because I took too much time probably. But he didn't have it. There's nothing you can do here. And I was like, yeah. I was like, that's my reads have improved so much and decision making. There's a potential all clear, maybe, but at the 4-chain level, it's usually not even an advantage anymore. Like, it's betting on luck, but you're at a disadvantage because usually your opponent can outextend you at this level. Like, if they make a 5-chain, they probably win, and most people can do it. So again, just trying to stay flexible, keep open a lot of options without committing unless I saw an opportunity. So here, looks like there's nothing, but I'm setting up actually a 4-chain with the blues. 4-chain is a pretty big commitment though, and you can only do that if you have a really good read. Here he's kind of covered, but he's got a 2-chain. With the greens, it would have been a 5-chain, but you don't want to send that. So I'm now changing it to the other direction. So now look, I've got a 2-chain on this yellow, or a 3-chain if I clear the purples in the yellow, and I can easily extend to 4 or 5 or main chain going the other direction. And so I'm like setting up an attack, but he's got a really nice 4-chain, so I can't do anything too big like this 3-chain. If I send a 3-chain, he immediately counters with 4-chain and I lose. So I see that already. I'm not sending this 3-chain. So I like take a moment to make sure I don't send the 3-chain. But he puts that down, and now he's covered for a moment, and now I can send a 3-chain on either side. But I sent 1-chain instead. 3-chain might have worked too. It's really tough to read immediately. Like, you can't pause during the match to make your decision. So, something that's good to know is like if your opponent has a perfect counter, like that he's got a 4-chain to my 3-chain. If you can do something smaller first, sometimes that can open up an advantage or an opportunity, like sending a 1-chain. And if they just send their 4-chain, you have a chance to extend to something bigger and beat it. And if they don't send it, they might get covered, and that gives you an opportunity to follow up really fast. So sending a 1-chain is really good here too. So I send the 1-chain, see what happens, and it's like, there's some chance here. Right when he puts that down, he's like committing to a 2-chain almost. So if I can see it and react, then I can get an advantage. But I was a bit slow here. It's too hard to see that. It's too, like I said, you can't pause and look when you're playing. So I saw it a little bit later, and I was like, alright, that's a 2-chain, and I wanted to counter because I was building up pretty high. So this was a counter, it's 5-chain. And if I got lucky, he wouldn't draw the colors to start his chain, and I could just win with that. But he did get it started. And here, technically I'm supposed to be at an advantage, I think, if I was like pro level. I should be able to extend and beat him, but I'm not yet consistent enough to like how good I want to be at it. And I forgot I needed 2 yellows here, but he's saying that he's like he needs 3 more yellows, and he's like he needs 2 more yellows. He's like yellow. It's like you have to put a yellow. But yeah, but if I would have won there, yeah, and I actually took a decent line, I think. Like I could have done a little bit better in this area, but this line wasn't terrible. If I got the right draws, I think I might have won it, and I could have gone up 4-1. So something else I should mention is I was going in thinking like I'm not gonna worry about the score at all while I'm playing. I'm just gonna play, and I really did it. Like I was like, oh, it's 1-3. Yeah, no big deal. I'm just gonna play it. Like I didn't pay attention to the score at all, and in some ways it helped me just play calmly. So it's like I'm not gonna worry about the score at all. Just play 1 point at a time. Here there's nothing immediately set up, but I can go for my second classic attack on the opposite side. But I decided not to do it, so I just built normally. Here he's got a 3 chain, and so it's hard to attack, and I saw this one too, because I was like setting up a 2 double, but I could see already he's got a really nice form for countering, so I was like not even gonna commit to that. I'm just gonna keep on building. Yeah, I kept on building. So now I've got 3 double, but it's actually pretty good, but it's kind of slow. And all of a sudden, I was like, alright, 2 double. I was like, yeah, it's been so long. Like when you get this high up, just sending anything is usually good, and you'll have enough puyo on your field to counter back if they do anything. In theory. So it's like 2 double. I have to send something, but I didn't realize he was. So my form here was actually really good, but I had to beat this. and so I forgot a yellow here because it wasn't gonna work because of that yellow missing. But if I got it, the green red, it would have been 1, 2, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 double. It still wouldn't have been enough because. So I got a 16 chain.
13万2000円いただきました。ありがとうございます。公式チャレンジ史上最大級じゃないですかこれ。
Saying it might be the biggest chain in the official challenge series, because other players also did this too.
最大の連鎖を見せるのが僕なんですよ。
So here's a 2 double setup. He can send his main chain with the greens or the reds, but I have a pretty good form. And this is now a 3 chain. So now he's sending his main chain. Again, this is like one of those theoretically you're at an advantage situation, but it's so hard to convert these if you're not a pro. Because you now have to extend and beat their chain. and I've gotten better, but
緑入れたかったですね。
so here I need the purple. I misplaced this one because the yellow shouldn't, like, I put the yellow here that cuts the yellows early and the reds don't connect, so I lose 2 in the overall chain link. It's a little bit less than that because it's a power now, but I should have tilted it to the right side. I knew not to tilt it to the left side
緑入れたかったですね。
because if
です
I
ね。
an older me would have put it like this, and then the yellow breaks here, and you lose even more. But I saw that one at least.
ワンチャン帰ってきそう。
So this one is now like the pro level, and you can't, even if you just hesitate here too much and like take your time thinking, like in one video I said you should think about where you put the last piece, but at this level, if you think too long or even kind of think at all, you give them so much time to like extend their chain, and since it's the pro level, they're gonna extend and you're gonna lose anyway. So you have to just put it down fast.
ミスした。
So here I actually thought I was probably gonna lose to the chain, but
ギリギリ
you
返
messed
されま
something
した
up.
がなんか違うぞ。5連鎖しか
And
な
he
い。
didn't win.
やべえ、負ける負ける。
And he's like, oh man, I'm gonna lose.
13万作ったはいいけど負けるパターンじゃないこれ。大丈夫か。
And now it's match point, but again, I like really wasn't, like, I was nervous playing on, because I knew I was on stream playing against a pro, and it was kind of like exciting but also nerve-wracking. But I
連鎖組み
wasn't thinking too much about the
しかもちょっ
about being 1 point away from winning.
と待って。
So here I go with this tricky
Exactly.
setup. And it doesn't really work, and he sees it and jumps on the opportunity.
ちょっと待って。
But
一回
I got lucky with the pieces, and I knew how to set off like on the right side.
連鎖組
So
みてねえぞ。しかもちょっと待って。
I was able to use the pieces I was getting to set off a 3 chain
うん。
and not lose here. And there are multiple ways to do it. So
連
like
鎖組みてね
if I drew purples, I could put the purples here and then clear the yellows, and that's a 2 chain. And if I drew blues, it's hard. Maybe I could do something on the left, but not really.
えぞ。しかもちょっと待って。一回
Double
二連
reds was lucky to make a
三
3
連で対
chain.
応される。
And this is at worst even, I think.
まあ一段ぐらいはね。
And it's arguably an advantage. And I knew I was countering, so he sent a 2 chain, I countered with a 3 chain, and I was like, this might be it. This might be the chance.
一段ぐらい
And I was like, keep going for a 2 double immediately, and I might have
受
it.
けましょう。
Oh, but I can't believe I didn't send it. I actually thought I did.
一段ぐらいはね。
So here's a 2 double, but I didn't send it. It would have been taking a gamble, but I think I would have
受
won.
けましょう。
No, I think it would have drawn the perfect pieces and I would have lost. But I probably should have taken that
まあ
gamble
二段です
actually.
ね
And so I was trying to like think about what to do now that I didn't send the 2 double, because while playing I looked and thought it wasn't safe. So I didn't send it. I was like, I'm gonna extend to a bigger chain.
ここは
So I was going for like a 3 or 4 or 5 chain if I can get the blues to cut.
二ダブルですね。
I was building up to that with the purples, but I didn't get the purples.
よしよしよしよしよしよしよし。
So it's now double match point in the official challenge.
やりましょう。アメリカ
The
と
very pro trying to stay undefeated through the challenge. And here I am representing America, I guess.
1対1、一下げ
He's talking up the final match, and he's like,
やりましょう。アメリカと日本の
it's like
最終決戦。
It's the final match between America and Japan. 4-4. That's like, if I get the chance, I'm going all in. Betting it all. This is one area where I've really improved my game, because before I would only make all my attacks on the transition. Now I'm very flexible and I can do both sides of the and attack on both sides. So here I set up my 2 double on the right side because I wasn't getting the pieces to do it on the left side. And he's pretty solid here as long as he doesn't block off the purples. He has a way to start his main chain, but actually the reds are going to cut, but that might make a counter. But anyway, that's going a bit too deep. Here I'm just like, right, ready to bet it all on this one attack. And I saw, like, as I was putting the piece down, I saw the double purple, but I also saw him putting the blues to block it. And I was like, oh, put it there, put it there. It's like, don't. I was like, don't. If he saw it coming, he could, like, move his piece over and then start a chain with the double purples, and it would still be going. But he put it there. I was like, all right, if he doesn't get the exact pieces he needs, I'm gonna win. And he
やべやべやべやべ
sees
や
it
べやべ
now,
やべやべやべやべやべやべやべやべ
and he doesn't get it.
ちょっと待って
And
この
that's
前は
it.
聞いてない
It's
おい
like,
おいおいおいおい
that's it. It's like, oh man.
参りました勝利です
Uh,
はい対戦ありがとうございました10勝と1敗ですね
now he has to put 1 loss. It's like, oh man. I was just kind of shocked that I won. But I was really happy about it, and I was telling everyone I knew. It's like, oh, I beat a pro. I beat a pro.
で負けは認めるので
But I beat a pro. So that's that. Now, in a tournament, about a month ago, there's this quarantined rapport tournament, and so that Akliv guy from Taiwan that I was talking about that almost beat Live at Evo, well, I got to play him in this tournament, so I was actually given the 3rd seed in the tournament, and so I played the 2nd seed in winners semifinals, and I actually won that pretty one-sidedly. I was kind of surprised, but that happened. Then, so I went to winners finals, and this match is winners finals against Akliv, who was the number 1 seed. I think he's the best player in Taiwan, and I was kind of expecting him to beat me, because I felt like he's probably better than me. But, you know, see what happens. And so, the match was pretty back and forth for a while, but it felt like I was holding on to the lead pretty well, and I was doing pretty well in that regard, and kind of felt like I had just the smallest edge in the match, and it felt like as long as I could keep it up, I was going to win. And I think it was 8-5, and then it's 8-7, but it just felt like I've got this. And here all I had to do was set off my main chain, and I was going to win. But I misdropped somehow. It wasn't like a difficult placement. But this one I was really upset about because I had the win. I was going to put the green blue, and you had 2 purples and a yellow. I have a purple yellow, so I just put the purple here, the yellow here, and I need 1 purple and I win. And it's like guaranteed win level. But somehow I like misdropped it, and I didn't get it all the way over to the right. And then now I need another yellow, and it actually would break here, so it wouldn't work anyway. But it's like, I had the win. I was gonna go 9-7. I was gonna win the match, and I somehow misdropped something that wasn't hard, and then I lost that point, and it's now 8-8, and that's big swing in momentum, and it's something to think about when you're like when you're playing, because they're like, I should have won that, and I don't know what happened. But anyway. So, in this tournament, I was going super aggro playstyle, where, like, when I was playing against Live It is pretty aggressive focus, but not like pure all in every time. Not uh, not throwing away my form or anything, building up nice chains as well. Here I was going pretty heavy all in. So like it's two double three chain. And just send it because I could see he's not going to get the reds. If he uses the blues, it's weaker, but actually that's still a 4 chain. And this is a pretty big disadvantage. It's like, oh man, I threw it away. But this is 3 chain into a 2 chain. It's still an advantage, but one of the things that heard me say a lot is these situations are really hard to play, and you have to counter what the other person does, or you're gonna throw away some wins here. So here, it's his turn to throw away a win, because I'm setting up, and I can pretty easily make a 4 or 5 chain, potentially 6 or more, if I can. So I need a red to connect to these reds, and then if I put a red in the ghost row, then it'll connect here. So I can get pretty big. And he doesn't recognize it. He sends a 4 chain, and I've got a 5 chain already built. And it was a 3 double 4, but this is now completely turned around, and now I'm at a big advantage. And again, it's hard to play, but I should win from here. And I went with a 3 chain, and I was like, oh no, he's gonna get a 3 chain, because if you gotta put a blue here, clear the yellows, he gets a 3 chain. He counter, it goes about even, but he clears so much garbage, and then it's like still undecided, but he didn't get a 3 chain. So I got a bit lucky there, and I did win. And now it's match point for me, so for getting that one loss, it's just match point here. Chance to win it all, or win in winners finals. So this is a really unsafe setup because it's hard to send anything at all. But he wasn't really like attack focused like I was, so it makes it a lot easier to just do unsafe things, and you don't have to worry that much. Because I would just put yellows around the blues, and I could start my main chain with the blues like this. So here I'm looking. I don't want to commit the last yellow necessarily, and he's got a pretty stable form though, and it's gonna be tough to break it easily. I could have sent the 1 double, but I decided not to because it looked like. Actually, I don't remember why I decided not to, but I didn't. So now I've connected my main chain. If I can get a blue here, and then clear the greens with the yellows. Oh, I didn't realize. I actually had. It was tough, but if I put the blue red, clear the reds, and clear the yellow greens, I probably would have won there. I didn't realize what he was sending though. So, one way or another, we ended up on 9-9, and it was. Uh, this was really intense too. It's like, oh man, 9-9. So I think some people in the high pressure situations are gonna like what I imagine is that for most people get really good, they spend most of their time just building up big chains over and over and over, and that's what you practice. So then when you get into these high pressure situations, a lot of times you just focus on making a good chain because you've done that so much. It's what you're comfortable with, and it's what you practice. But I was like, I gotta go with the attack. It's like, I gotta bet it all on this, and gonna get it to work. And I was like, there it is, just covered up the main chain. I'm doing my classic attack. I might win this here, but I got double reds. It's like, oh, but I'm already going with this. It's like all or nothing. It's like just do it. But he found a 2-chain, so I was like, oh no, it's not decided because he has pretty easy chance to dig here. It's like, it's like this is so intense because he clears the purples, puts a red blue. He's got a big chain, and if I attack, I just lose to that, and it's over. But I see that, so I don't attack here, and like I can't attack because that's a losing play. So gotta build up, and gonna build up GTR, and now he's connecting his main chain. There's my GTR, but it's tough to reach the yellow trigger. It's like, oh man. And here you usually want to attack so the other person can't build up too much and out-extend you. Or just comfortably extend and win. So I actually did it on accident because I didn't I like didn't realize the purples were gonna disappear. So I was like just trying to put the piece down, and I was like, I put it down, but it made a 2-chain without me realizing. But it was actually like the perfect attack, and I was like, oh, I misdropped, but it was actually a really good play. But he got really lucky, and he drew just what he needed to get a 2 double, and he counters back. It's like, oh man, I made a great play on accident, but he countered it by getting lucky a little bit. And some other draws might have given him other chances too, so it's not just pure luck. Like yellows would have let him start off a big chain, for example. But match goes on, he sends another 2-chain. I'm like, oh no, I don't have anything. Like I'm gonna lose, and then he sets his chain off really fast, and this was like it. Like I knew what situation it was immediately because it's like all I have to do is extend and not extend, just set off my chain, and I'm gonna win because I have more than him. But this is really tough to get through. Look at this. But so it's like if I set off my chain, I win. But how do I do it? And I found the line. I was like, oh, I found one line. You clear the blues first. Now I just need a red and a red purple. But then I'd have to bet on a red purple coming, and that would be it's a 1/8 chance to decide the match. But I was gonna go with another line. I was like, I don't see a red purple, but if I put the red here, then I can start with the yellows and I can put the purple here. So I was like, I'm going with that line because I don't see a red purple. There's the red. There's the purple. Then I just need a yellow. I was like, I just need a yellow, and the entire set is gonna come down to me getting a yellow or not, and it's not there right now. It's like, come on. And I put it down, and then put it down. I was like, there it is. Did I win? But then I was like, oh. I looked, and Yoshi saw it too. He's like,
Blues, but
it's like
follow-ups are the ones that are taking it right now. And so who did it
it's like
in
and then so the blues are actually gonna cut right here, and then it's like, oh, the blues are gonna cut, and then I was like thinking about how I lost, but then I was like, wait, there's a blue here, and then it somehow doesn't cut. It's gonna connect, and it's like,
blues, but blues actually acts as
and then
savior
it connects,
for the day.
and then I won.
You did not have won
But
the round.
that one was pretty crazy too,
We can
because
both use up
already from the start, knowing that's 9-9 in a tournament match is like makes it such it's so intense and such high pressure already, and then to have it play out like that, because there's like it's like, alright, I thought I had it here, but he has enough of a counter, and then it's like so intense to like have to continue to play from here.
But it doesn't decide to, because the thing with Akliv is that he can dig out of a lot of these situations anyway. So
and then the misdrop, that was a really good play. It's like, oh, I misdropped, but it's actually good, but it's not actually good because he counters it with the exact piece, and that's kind of what I was thinking while I was playing. And I was like, but I still have my chain, so I'm still gonna win. But he's sending a 2 chain, and I'm gonna lose because I like can't do anything. And it's like, it's like, and then he sent his chain so fast, I was like, I'm gonna lose because I can't get through this. And then I thought it was a really good find, because my first thought was just to commit to drawing a red purple, and if I don't get it, I lose. It's like, but then there's the other line of starting with the yellows, and I saw that, and then after all of that, to make a chain that looks like it breaks and you lose, but it breaks and unbreaks at the same time, and you win. It's like, it was like one of the most intense moments I've had playing this game.
Won the round. This would have been grand finals worthy, to be honest. What a wild match. Wow.
So that was crazy, but then after all of that,
regardless, he wouldn't have had enough. Appropriate.
After all of that,
I guess
Akliv showed why he was the #1 seed, and he won 10-5 in the first Grand Finals match. Second Grand Finals match, it was pretty close for a while. Then he started pulling away, and it's like 8-6, 9-6, and it's like, it doesn't look good. But if I won from here, it would have been so crazy, even more. Maybe as much as the winners finals.
Does not have any options to extend at this point, and so I think Akliv has more viable ways to work around these. Oh my gosh. Explosive. That's all it took. Explosive.
So 9-7. Again, this was like super all-in mindset.
Oh my gosh, he goes for another explosive.
And no greens.
This time around, Akliv is not ready. Oh, he just didn't want to.
And 9-8.
Gosh, this is an awful
And it's like, this could be it.
I can't believe Dido didn't take it. He would have gone 3 chain into the greens also. Or maybe Akliv was just that tight as well that he doesn't want to bother fighting him. Anyway.
So this is pretty easy to dig.
I think Akliv might be too
And this looks like
like
it could be a win.
there's certainly things he can do, but like he slowed down for a little while, and now it's gonna be difficult for him to keep up with some.
In theory, attacking is better here, but maybe I should have just set my main chain off.
If he blocks the Dan off, that would be pretty good for him as well.
Because Akliv was able to out-extend me.
And cuts his chain in many places. But does
So, I did. Even though I won in winners finals, I didn't win. But it was still one of the craziest matches for me.
And the ranking double.
So I got second, but that's that. And last thing I wanted to talk about was my new play style for playing puyo. So it's actually not exactly new. It's kind of how I always played, I guess. But I want to play really heavy read-based puyo, and a lot of a lot of offense in the mid game and a lot of reading and predicting what the opponent's going to do. And so I want to play in a way to where like they have to pay attention to what I'm doing and counter it back, or I'm just going to find their weak spot and hit it, and then I'm going to win. And so I want to be able to uh, make all kinds of attacks at any time and feel like make the opponent feel uneasy, like they can't just build because they're gonna get hit by something if they do anything dangerous, and they're gonna like if they try to counter in advance, I'm gonna counter their counter and things like that. So they have to play around what I'm gonna do, or I'm gonna win. That's how I want to play. So um, it requires a lot of paying attention to your opponent's board the whole time as much as possible, and being flexible in how you build and where you attack from. So those are some of the important skills for this style, and it's not the only style, but it's the one I think I like the most. So that includes doing a lot of things like this where there's 2-chain, 3-chain. I can go from the right side or the left side. If I had a green, it's a 4-chain or 2 double 3-chain. And even if I cover it up, I can attack again with the yellows for a 2-chain. So there's a lot of like maneuvering around and creating and breaking different attacks all at once, and trying to time it so like right when your opponent can't deal with it, um, that's when you do it. That's what you do. And I also want to like I'll do kind of crazy things sometimes where like if I think the opponent can make a 3 or 4-chain, but it's really hard for them to get to 5, I might just throw out a random 5-chain out of nowhere. Like, why would you make a random 5-chain at the mid to high level, not the top level? Um, like mid high level, people oftentimes won't realize or won't expect it, so they'll just, if they've got 3 or 4 chain set up and you send a 5-chain really quickly, they're like, uh, they're like, I knew you were going to attack me, and they just immediately counter with their 4-chain, but they don't realize it's a 5-chain and they just lose. And then, because it's like so unexpected. And so I'll do things like that where I just throw out a random 4-chain or a random 5-chain or even bigger if I think it'll work, or I'll just like all of a sudden do a main chain out of nowhere that doesn't look good, but it actually is a read that like they can't complete their form well or fast enough or something like that. So, so I want to do a lot of these like predictions and reads. Like this was a good example because it just looked like it was pretty hard to quickly make something bigger than a 4-chain. So if I sent a big 4-chain, that's tough to do. Like this, you can't really do anything. So I think I can play this style pretty well and do pretty well with it. And uh, I'd also say it's hard to see it when you're watching because, like, um, you can't see that I'm reading what's on their screen and what they're doing. So sometimes it looks like they're just randomly attacking, maybe, or just like um, just attacking for no good reason, and it just happens to work somehow, or I just do something and it seems to work somehow. But um, a lot of it, I'm just trying to read. Oh, I see why I clicked this. I'm actually really reading what's going on the other person's side of the field and making predictions and stuff. Like this one too was a good example where here I could see the 3-chain on the purples with 1 green. It's a 4-chain, but it's just a 4-chain, and it requires a little bit of piece luck, and it's hard to get to a 5-chain at all. So technically, I should have gone a little bit bigger, but I did see it, and so I sent my 3 double to like counter in advance of knowing what he was already gonna be sending. So if you watch me play, I hope you'll see some of these like predictive moves and um, attacks that are based on reads, and um, some of the pre-counters and like some of the strange attacks that don't necessarily look like they make sense, but they somehow work out. So I hope you'll watch for that if you watch any of my games. And the other thing is, I think I've gotten so much better recently because I, feel like I've done a good job at figuring out what I'm not good at and where I can improve and how I can get better. So I think I'm really getting better a lot faster nowadays. And I think you'll see it pretty clearly in my recent match videos where if you watch the first first one from the International Puyo League, it's probably not going to be like if you compare the first couple ones with the most recent couple ones, you'll probably even be able to see like huge improvements already. I think because I think I'm just really getting a lot better quickly. So that's it for this video. All I can say is I'm really happy to be able to say that I beat a pro. And uh, I think I found the style of Puyo that I like best, and I think it's probably interesting to watch if you understand what's going on and uh, kind of how I'm thinking about it. Here's another good example of that I kind of already talked about, but I was going for my classic attack with the 2 double, and it's right there, but I didn't want to just let him send his main chain because this is probably too much to send and then recover. So I didn't go for it. Didn't go for it. He's setting up defensively, so I didn't do anything. And I just like talking about these matches and these decisions. And then he thinks he's got me red. He's like, oh, you've got a 3 chain. So I was like, that's not a 3 chain. I'm going the other way with 5 chain. And then I countered. Alright. Thanks for watching.